I want you to picture two people. Same city, same industry, roughly the same salary. Let's call it $90,000 a year. One of them has a beautiful apartment, a leased car, the latest phone, a wardrobe that costs more than most people's rent, and a savings account that is genuinely embarrassing. The other one lives in a smaller place, drives something basic, shops maybe 4 times a year, and quietly has over $300,000 sitting in investments. The difference between those two people is not talent. It's not luck. It's not even discipline in the way most people think about it. It's a set of rules. Simple, almost boring rules. Rules so stripped down that once you hear them, you're going to wonder why nobody ever just said this out loud before. Today, we are breaking down the minimalist money rules you absolutely must follow if you want to stop being financially fragile and start being someone whose money actually works for them. I've spent an unreasonable amount of time inside financial psychology research, behavioral economics papers, and real wealth-building data for this one, so you don't have to. Let's get into it.
Here is something the finance industry does not want you to internalize. Most money advice is complicated on purpose, not because complexity is necessary, but because complexity sells products, courses, apps, and upgrades. The truth is almost offensively simple. The people I have watched actually build wealth over time were not doing 17 things. They were doing 3 or 4 things consistently, without drama, for years. Minimalism, when applied to money, is not about living like a monk or eating rice for every meal. It's a decision framework. It's asking, before every financial decision, does this make my financial life more complicated or more simple? More noise or more signal? More obligations or more freedom? Because here is what I've found. Almost every financial mistake I've ever studied has complexity at the root of it. Too many accounts, too many commitments, too many little expenses that feel small until they don't. And the research backs this up. Simple financial systems get followed. Complicated ones get abandoned, especially when life gets hard. When the job changes, the relationship changes, the emergency hits. The person with the simple, stripped-down money system will navigate it. The person with 17 moving parts will not. So everything we are going to talk about today runs through that filter. Simple, consistent, quietly powerful.
The first rule sounds almost too small to be transformative. It is this: own one number. One number that tells you at a glance whether your financial month was good or bad. Not your net worth, not your portfolio return, not how many categories you hit in your budgeting app. One number. Specifically, what percentage of your income did you keep this month? Your savings rate is the single most predictive number in personal finance. Research on financial independence consistently shows that what determines how fast you build wealth is not your investment returns. It is the gap between what you earn and what you spend. A person saving 5% of their income will take decades to build financial stability. A person saving 30% can get there in under a decade, even on a modest income. The number does not lie. So the minimalist move is to stop tracking everything and start tracking the one thing that captures everything. What percentage of what came in did you actually keep? If the number goes up month over month, you are winning. If it goes down, something in the system needs attention. That's it. One number. No 17-category budget required. No color-coded spreadsheet. One number on a sticky note is more powerful than any finance app you will ever download. The single biggest enemy of building wealth is not bad investment picks. It is not inflation. It is not even debt. It is the fact that humans are genuinely terrible at making good decisions under conditions of choice, temptation, and tiredness, which is every single day. So the minimalist rule here is ruthless. Automate before you think. The moment your paycheck lands, money moves automatically. Before you log in, before you see it, before you have the chance to spend it on something stupid. Paying yourself first is one of those concepts that's been around so long people assume it's a cliche instead of a law. It is a law. When savings moves automatically on payday, the savings rate stays consistent regardless of what happens to willpower that month. And willpower will fail. It always does. That is not weakness, that is neuroscience. The research on self-control consistently shows that willpower is a finite resource. Automating money decisions removes willpower from the equation entirely. The minimalist version of this looks like 3 automatic transfers. 1 to a savings account, 1 to an investment account, 1 optionally to a separate account for irregular expenses like car maintenance and medical bills. 3 automations, set up once, reviewed maybe twice a year. The rest of the month, the system runs itself. You are not budgeting, you are not restraining yourself. The money is already gone before the temptation arrives.
I want to tell you about the most psychologically brilliant trap ever built for consumers. It is not credit card debt. It is not impulse purchases. It is the subscription. $12 a month sounds like nothing. $12 a month for 12 services is $144 a month. $1,700 a year gone. Automatically, without you ever consciously deciding to spend it, because you made one decision years ago and never revisited it. There is research on this, and it is honestly humbling. When people are asked to estimate their monthly subscription spending, the average person underestimates it by nearly 50%. We mentally round down. We forget the annual ones. We count the ones we use and ignore the ones we don't. The result is a slow, invisible drain on the savings rate every single month. The minimalist rule is simple. Twice a year, pull every recurring charge from your bank statement and your credit card. Every single one. And for each one, ask a single question. Did I use this enough last month to pay for it again next month? Not might I use it, not I should really use it. Did I actually use it? The ones that don't pass that test get canceled that day. No hesitation. You can always resubscribe. You cannot unspend the money you already paid. This is the rule that the entire consumer economy is working against. The logic we are all sold is, if you can afford it, get it. Qualify for the mortgage? Take the maximum. Get approved for the car loan? Drive the nicest one on the lot. Earn the raise? Upgrade the apartment. This is not financial logic. This is marketing logic dressed up as financial logic. And it is keeping an enormous number of high-income people permanently broke. Financial stability is not built in the space between your income and the ceiling of what you qualify for. It is built in the space between what you earn and what you actually spend. That gap is your wealth engine. Every time you voluntarily stay below what you can afford, whether it's the apartment, the car, the vacation, the wedding, you are widening that gap. And every dollar in that gap is a dollar that can compound. The minimalist rule is simple. Make a habit of buying below your means, not at the edge of them. Not because deprivation builds character, but because owning less than you can afford creates options. And options are the thing money is actually supposed to buy you. The ability to say no to a job, the ability to say yes to an opportunity, the ability to absorb a crisis without it becoming a catastrophe.
That is what all of this is actually for. I know the feeling. You hear about compound interest and long-term investing, and you want to start yesterday. That urgency is good. But there is one situation where investing before doing something else is actually mathematically backwards. And that situation is carrying high-interest debt, credit card debt in particular. Because here's the reality. The stock market returns, on average, somewhere between 7 and 10% a year over the long run. Credit card interest charges, somewhere between 20 and 26% a year, every single year, on every single dollar you carry. Paying off a 24% interest debt is a 24% guaranteed return. No investment product on earth offers you that. No index fund, no real estate deal, no crypto cycle. The guaranteed elimination of a 24% drag on your money is, mathematically, the best investment available to the average person carrying credit card debt. The minimalist rule. Before you invest anything beyond an employer match, the high-interest balances go to zero. This is a sequencing problem more than a willpower problem, and the sequence is emergency fund first, high-interest debt second, long-term investing third, in that order, every time. What most people do is try to do all three at once, and the debt stays for years because it never becomes the focused priority. The minimalist approach is to do one thing fully and then move on. It is slower to look at. It is dramatically faster to experience. An emergency fund is the financial product that requires zero application, zero fees, zero complexity, and it is still the one most people skip. Here is a reframe that I find genuinely changes how people think about it. Stop calling it an emergency fund. Start calling it a crisis buffer. Because the framing of emergency makes it sound like you're preparing for something unusual. You're not. Cars break. Medical things happen. Jobs disappear. Roofs leak. These are not surprises. These are scheduled events that you do not know the date of yet. The target is 3 to 6 months of actual living expenses, not income. Expenses, kept in a high-yield savings account where it earns something, but is not invested where it can lose value right before you need it. This fund is not exciting. It will never go viral. Nobody is going to make a YouTube thumbnail about emergency funds and get 10 million views. But this one account is the reason some people survive a crisis and some people spiral. And the difference between those two outcomes has nothing to do with how much they earned. Without a buffer, every unexpected expense goes on a credit card, and the credit card interest makes the next month harder, which makes the next emergency harder to absorb, which eventually breaks a financial life that was, on paper, perfectly functional. The minimalist rule. Build the buffer first, before aggressive investing, before lifestyle upgrades, before anything. 3 to 6 months in cash, earning something untouched.
Let's talk about investing, because this is where the finance industry really earns its living by confusing you. There are thousands of funds, hundreds of platforms, dozens of strategies, and an endless stream of content telling you that you need to be paying closer attention. Here's what the data on long-term investor returns actually shows. Most people who trade frequently underperform people who buy a simple index fund and never touch it. Not sometimes, consistently, across markets and decades. The minimalist investing strategy is not sexy. It is one low-cost, broadly diversified index fund, a total market or S&P 500 fund with an expense ratio below 0.2%. Automatic monthly contributions set on payday, and then a rule. Do not log in to check it more than once a quarter. Because every time you check a volatile account, you create an opportunity to react emotionally. And emotional investing is the fastest way to underperform a strategy that requires no skill whatsoever. Compounding is patient. It does not care that you checked the balance. It does not reward you for switching funds during a dip. It rewards the person who contributed consistently and left it alone. The minimalist rule is pick one thing, automate it, and then aggressively resist the urge to feel productive by changing it. The most financially productive thing you can do most months is absolutely nothing. There is a behavioral economics concept called the default effect, and it is one of the most powerful forces in human decision-making. Whatever the default option is, the one that requires no active choice, most people take it. This is why opt-out programs enroll more people than opt-in programs. It's why the biggest item on a menu gets ordered more. And it's why most people's spending runs on autopilot, because the default in consumer culture is yes. The minimalist money rule is to flip the default. For any spending decision that isn't already in the system, anything that's not a bill, not an automatic investment, not groceries, the default answer is no. Not let me think about it, not maybe, no. And if the thing is genuinely worth it, it will still be worth it after you sleep on it. Most things are not still worth it the next morning. That gap between impulse and action is where a shocking amount of money gets saved effortlessly. A practical version of this is the 48-hour rule. Any unplanned purchase above a personal threshold, let's say $50, waits 48 hours before being made. Not because you can't buy it, because you are giving your rational brain the chance to catch up with your emotional brain. Research consistently shows that a cooling-off period eliminates a significant portion of impulse spending entirely, not because the desire disappears, but because the urgency does. Here is something I find quietly devastating when I think about it too long. Most people's spending does not reflect their values. It reflects their habits. It reflects social pressure. It reflects what their parents did, what their peers are doing, what advertising decided they should want. And when you map actual spending against what people say they care about most, time with family, freedom, health, meaningful experiences, the categories almost never match. The minimalist money philosophy is not about spending as little as possible on everything. That is deprivation, and it is not sustainable. It is about spending generously on the things that genuinely matter to you and almost nothing on everything else. That means someone who values travel can spend a lot on travel and nothing on clothes. Someone who values food can spend a lot on groceries and dining and nothing on entertainment. The total can be the same. The satisfaction is completely different. When you know what you value, spending decisions get easier. Not because you have more money, but because the framework is already there. Does this align with what I actually care about? Yes. Buy it without guilt. No. Skip it without regret. That clarity, that alignment between values and spending is, in my opinion, the single most underrated financial skill. It turns budgeting from a restriction into a design exercise, and that changes how it feels to do it.
The last rule is the one that keeps all the others working. Once a month, same day, same routine, no more than 30 minutes. You sit down and ask 3 questions. What percentage of my income did I keep this month? Is my automated system still running correctly? Is there anything that needs a small adjustment next month? That is the entire review. Not a deep dive audit, not a 4-hour spreadsheet session. 3 questions, 30 minutes, once a month. One of the most consistent findings in behavioral research on financial success is that people who do small, regular reviews of their finances dramatically outperform people who do large, infrequent ones. The regular review keeps the system honest. It catches the subscription that crept back in. It catches the savings rate that slipped for a reason that's worth addressing. It keeps the whole thing from drifting quietly in the wrong direction while you're busy living your life. The point of building a minimalist money system is not to spend your life thinking about money. It is the opposite. It is to spend the minimum necessary time managing money so you can spend maximum time on the things money is supposed to enable. 30 minutes a month, one number tracked, a system running in the background, that is genuinely all this needs to be.
10 rules. That's the whole thing. One number to track, automate before you think, kill subscriptions ruthlessly, own less than you can afford, eliminate high-interest debt before investing, build the boring emergency fund, invest simply and then stop touching it, default to no, spend on what you value and cut everything else, and review it for 30 minutes once a month. That is it. That is the minimalist money system. It will not go viral. There is no app to download. But if you actually run this for 12 months, your financial life will look different in a way that is hard to explain until it happens to you.